Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon.
This is Bryce.
Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Rabbit, where we take comics from this past week, break them down, discuss them, talk about them, what we liked, what we didn't like, give you guys new recommendations for books coming out the next week, as well as talking about stuff that's going on in the movie and TV media. All right, this is Comics Kings. As you guys know, welcome back to the kingdom, and we're here always with Bryce, Hillbillycomics. So we've had a huge release week. It was not really huge as in like the number of books. Like last week we had a whole list of books to talk about. This week is more like we were talking quality over quantity. Like we got a lot of books that were just straight up enjoyable reads. And as always, if you guys are in the live chat, make sure you leave a comment. If you guys have a question for us, we'll read it aloud. Or if you do have a comment, we'll read it aloud as well, and you'll be part of the show forever and ever and ever. So we do have one comment right now, and that is
Mikey.
That's Michael, and he is saying gross. All right then, because he is a Flash fan, and we're not talking about Flash this week, but maybe next week. Stick around, and there might be a Flash book we'll talk about next week.
I know there will be on my end.
You never know.
I got mostly DC this week for you, Michael. So I only had 4 books, and 3 of them are DC. So
3 of them were DC this week, and then we got Chet Scott, Knight, the X-Men. What's up, homie? How you doing, brother? But anyway, let's jump right into this. I'm going to talk about the first book I read, which was Savage Avengers, which is by Jerry Dugan, art by Kev Walker. So we're leaving off the battle where the Savage Avengers fought some of the Marauders teams like Callisto, Iceman, and Bishop. Okay, and it was like Conan, Deadpool, and somebody else who I don't remember his name. But they're at the Hellfire Club on the hunt for Colin Goth, and they collide. Like, we got to take care of Noel first, but there's this battle, and Iceman got hit by a symbiotic, like a hammer? Kind of like grabbed like a symbiotic like hammer, just boom, just smacked him. Everyone who's been liking the art so far, with Kev Walker being like the new artist on here, his last 2 issues were great, but I've been saying this all along. He's Kev Walker. He's going to mess it up like he did Doctor Strange, and he's going to mess it up like he did a few Spider-Man issues that he did. So if you want to ruin it, because that's exactly what happened in this book. The art was a mess. I've never seen a more poorly drawn Bishop, but the writing was great. The writing was superb. This is Jerry Dugan writing Deadpool again. This is Jerry Dugan writing the Marauders, as well as what he's doing in Savage Avengers. So it's a mix of 2 worlds they're fighting, and now they're figuring out a plan to take care of the symbiotes. So as you guys know, in the Marauders King in Black tie that I didn't read, but it gives you a friendly little reminder of what happened, that Cyclops and Storm got taken over by symbiotes. So what do they all go do? They go fight symbiotic Storm, and they go fight symbiotic Cyclops.
Wait, is that how that happened? I didn't read that tie-in. I read Kingdom Black issue 4, and I'm like, wait, when did Cyclops get nullified?
Cyclops got nullified because basically everyone in Donny Cates' toy chest got nullified. He didn't have an important part of the story, but Cyclops got freed actually in Kingdom Black number. What are we on? 4 or 5?
4. 5 hadn't come out yet.
5 hadn't come out. We're on 4, and Cyclops recently got freed in that because Jean Grey entered the mind of Dylan Brock. Yeah,
that was dope.
He's gonna rescue Cyclops, and Storm got taken care of, obviously. But that's what this book did. And then what's really cool is Conan was looking for Wolverine because, of course, Wolverine's part of this team. They need to hunt for Colin Goth and extend their story. So what happens? What's going to happen? Conan becomes king of the Hellfire Club, and he sits at the castle where they all are. So that was really cool seeing Conan. He's like, I like this place. Wolverine's like, I know somebody who might let this slide. So I really enjoyed this story. The art was god-awful. Again, like I said, you want Kevin oh my gosh. You want Kevin Walker to ruin a book. Just, put his art in there. We got 2 more people in the chat. What's up? Patent Comics, Lamer Frame. Up, man. Ahoy to you. Good well as well. And then we got Steve Team Nerd Her. Now, I was recently on with these excellent group of guys last night for a kick-ass 2.5-hour stream. Just talking that Steve is part of them, and definitely sub him up. We like to share our lunches just 3 hours apart. What's up, Steve? Good to see you in the chat, brother. But Again, this issue is not my favorite. I'm going to still continue on the book because I love the cast of characters it has, especially when Conan is interacting with the rest of the Marvel Universe. It's something we don't see very often. However, I like it. It's just I don't enjoy Kev Walker's art. It's just a huge deal breaker for me and for a talented writer like Jerry Dugan. And it was the same way with Mark Waid doing Doctor Strange and Kev Walker was on them. I'm like, you're kidding me. When it was Nick Spencer and Kev Walker together, it was
terrible
and god awful. And
that was actually when I stopped pulling ASM.
That was their 25th issue spectacular. Was Nick Spencer and Kev Walker, and a good reason for you to jump off the book.
I hopped on right after that, and then as soon as this 2099 arc started, I think Kev Walker did a few issues after that. And I was thinking about jumping off, and then Ryan Otley started, and I was thinking about staying on, but then I just it got. But we're going to talk about that. Brandon's going to talk about that in a bit. I haven't read that in a long time.
The Spider-Man artists go as like Ryan Otley, who for some reason cannot draw James Jonah Jameson or animals. So they got Humberto Ramos to do the Kraven arc, the Kraven ripoff story, which was of course not the best. And then they got Kev Walker on there, like, oh, we're bringing in Gleason, and then Otley's there, but Otley doesn't want to do Spider-Man anymore because he's not enjoying it because he's struggling with the book. And by drawing a character like Spider-Man and drawing someone like Invincible, they're two different things, two different animals. Ryan Otley is from a small town, so it's very hard for him to draw some of the landscapes and the skyline of New York City, the skyscrapers and like the tightness of the buildings. It's just very hard for him to manage a space in it. I was getting the feeling of in that book, but we are going to talk about it later. Bryce
Spider-Man's one more thing I'll add between like Spider-Man and Invincible. Spider-Man's a way more dynamic character. There's a lot more movements that you have to be able to draw, and which if I could draw half as good as Ryan Otley, I can't draw worth crap. So I don't even know what I'm talking about this, but Invincible's not really
art. Ryan Otley's art in Invincible was a huge factor of the book. And we got the Fantastic Girl in the chat. Good seeing you in here. Good seeing you in here as always. But I love seeing his art in Invincible. It just didn't translate to Spider-Man, which is completely okay.
Yeah,
that's not a knock on Otley as an artist because he's very talented. He's a very talented artist, and I can see him succeeding on a lot of other books. I think he has an indie book coming up soon. I don't know the name of it, but I've seen it somewhere in the solicitations. But I'm excited for it because now Otley has the time, and Marvel deadlines are a lot harder than Image, right? Or Boom or Aftershock. So I'm excited for what he has next. I'm a fan of Ryan Otley. It's just his Spider-Man didn't translate for me. And I know
exactly.
But you got a book to talk about.
I do have a book, and it's a book that I was super hyped about this week. And I know some of you may agree with me, some of you may disagree. It was kind of a divisive book this week, but I loved it, and I'm really excited to talk about Teen Titans Academy.
I knew you were gonna pull
number 1.
Pull that, bro. There you go.
Written by Tim Sheridan and art by Rafa Sandoval. I'm just gonna say, I was a fan of Rafa Sandoval's art before, but I really enjoyed it in this issue. So the main draw to me for this series was this character right here, Red X. And if you guys don't know Red X, he was from the original Cartoon Network animated series in the 2000s. I was born in 2000, and so that came on right at a time where I was being introduced to superheroes. I didn't even know comic books were a thing, but I knew about the Teen Titans.
Right.
And so that definitely played a factor in this book, and part of my enjoyment came from the fact that it reminded me of that animated series. But we start out with a boat going up to what looks like the Titans Tower. We see Nightwing trying to figure out what his speech is going to be, and then we get the boat going up to Teen Titans Tower, and you see all 5 of your original new Teen Titans from the Wolfman Perez run. So you've got Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Donna Troy. So there's 6 of them.
Right.
And then the current cast of Teen Titans, so Kid Flash, Crush, Red Arrow, Roundhouse, and I can't remember the name of the other one. I jumped off.
It wasn't Arrowette, was it? It wasn't her.
Was it Red Arrow, or they call it Red Arrow or Arsenal?
Arrowhead was part of the Teen Titans.
Okay.
Or, no, it was Lobo's daughter too. She was part of it.
Yeah, Crush.
Okay, then Arrowhead's the only one you're missing at that point. Then I think.
Okay, yeah. And so, it's kind of like your typical new school orientation. If you've ever been to, obviously, we've all been to high school orientation. We've all been, most of us have been to college orientations.
Bro, I've been to Hogwarts.
This guy. But yeah, basically you've got Nightwing giving a speech. They named it the Roy Harper Academy, which I thought was really cool, especially since if you read DC Infinite Frontier issue 0, you know that Roy Harper's back now. They don't.
I want to see his reaction to that when he comes back.
I do too. I want him to show up in this book in probably issue. I don't know. I feel like issue 12 to 15-ish would be a good time to bring him in.
I think they'll do it a little bit earlier, though.
You think they'll do it a little bit earlier?
Yeah, because I think the establishment of Red X will kind of feed into that because he'll know about it. He's Arsenal. He came back from the dead, and so did this guy come in. So I think
true. Which, thank you for mentioning the establishment of Red X, because that is the main plot in this book, is about the history of Red X. We don't see Red X in this book. The cover was a bit of a tease, but it's about the history of how Dick wore the Red X mask when he was Robin. If you've seen the animated series, you know that Red X is a character from the animated series originally, kind of like a Harley Quinn type deal.
Right.
And so we know going into it that it's going to be one of these new classes of kids that they've got coming in. They're freshmen. And I don't really want to spoil the book because I don't really know if there's much to spoil or break down. It's basically these kids go to their orientation. They find out about Red X. They go to a birthday party for Nightwing. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Nightwing's birthday party. I mean, why not?
I mean, who hasn't wanted to go to Nightwing's birthday party?
Exactly. Nightwing would be such a fun dude just to hang out with.
Exactly. Right? You get to just, well, he's more like an approachable Bruce Wayne if Tom Taylor's
exactly. But basically, you see like a 2-page battle with the active roster Teen Titans. One character I will highlight is this kid named Brick, who is in the training room at one point. He's the only person we really see use his powers to an extensive degree out of this new class in this issue.
Right.
And that is when he lets off an organic EMP, to which Donna Troy comes up and offers to spar him in place of a counseling session.
Correct.
Because Donna Troy is a beast and
100% badass. That if you
exactly,
if you have not seen for Donna Troy at least once watching the cartoons, and we all had those moments.
I mean, I love Cassie as Wonder Girl in the Teen Titans run by Jeff Johns and Young Justice, but Donna Troy
hits different. Donna Troy hits different.
Donna Troy just hits different. So we see some interactions. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna just agree with you, Donna. Troy great.
We see some interactions between a couple of the students, one of the freshmen, and Roundhouse, who's an active member of the Teen Titans. Nothing too major. But then one thing that makes us think we know who this Red X character is while everybody else is at Nightwing's birthday party, this kid Brick that I was talking about earlier is still in the combat training room after curfew.
Right.
So it's a little suspicious, especially since he runs away afterwards. But Starfire kind of brushes it off, saying, attendance wasn't mandatory, and I'm sure it's nothing. But at the end, we see somebody in the Red X mask punching a mirror. We don't know who it is. We don't know.
Is it Bunker or is it Brick? No, it's not Bunker. It could be Brick.
I don't think it's Brick. My guess is one of the Gotham orphans.
It could one of the Gotham. I mean, look
if you look at his build, he's kind of built like him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, is he built like Brick? No, because Brick was a little bit more skinny. Maybe they're just doing that. Say, haha, I'm kidding. But I don't know, man. That's definitely interesting. Now, this was my first introduction to Red X, so kind of him going back to Dick Grayson is something that I didn't even know about. So I'm interested. I'm on board with this book.
Yeah.
My only thing is it opens up a bunch of different avenues to go on, and I want them to choose one of them.
Which I think they will. First issues tend to set up a few different things, and that's why they're not always the best issues in a series.
But it's so hard to establish a school with that vast of a character cast. That rhymed. Whoa, that rhymed. But anyway.
It did rhyme. But yeah, my main thing that I loved about this book, the art, for one thing, by Rafa Sandoval. Rafa Sandoval is an artist that doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion.
He was on Flash for a little bit.
Yeah. Wasn't he on there?
He was after Flash War, before year one,
year one, yeah.
And then he did some at the end. He did some towards the end, trading off with dude who was like completely digital. No, I know his name.
Shoot.
Anyway, we'll skip it. But
yeah, I remember him on Flash. Loved his art on Flash. I think he gives the colorists some great stuff to work with, which you guys know me. I'm like I look for colors more than I do pencils, but it takes some good pencils for the colors to work, obviously. But yeah, definitely loved how much this felt like the original animated series. I was telling Brandon, like, dude, Beast Boy and Cyborg, their interactions felt ripped out of the TV show.
Right. It felt like a little bit of a ramped up Young Justice. I love the dialogue. Tim Sheridan is like he's like a little fanboy right now. He's watching his characters come to life. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a personal history with these characters, and he loves them. You can just tell how much that he loves them. So that's why I have a lot of hopes. I've never had a Teen Titans book on my pull list, mostly because I started reading. It was Lobdell, then it was Percy, and then it was someone else. Then it was Glass.
Was it? Oh, it was Glass. Yeah, I read one issue of Glass's run, and I wasn't feeling it.
I read one issue, and
I read one issue of Abnett's run on Titans when there was just a Titans series.
The last arc was good because Abnett had no more shits to give.
Yeah. Part of me is kind of sad that got canceled so early too, because I would have wanted to see that team do more, but just give us a new creative team.
Yeah, but he didn't. The book didn't sell. There are a lot of plot holes in that book that are getting undone now, where like everything with Donna with Garth and like Garth is an Aqualad. But there's just so much stuff going on that didn't make sense in that book, to the point where all we got was a Beast Boy that looked like the Hulk. And it was kind of the last arc was great because there's Kyle Rayner, and it's very hard to mess up Kyle Rayner because he's a very simple character to write. He's like the Superman Green Lantern. So that was fine. It just wasn't. It wasn't that good with any other character. But speaking of, as we're hating on books, let's continue the hate train. And I don't like talking about books that I don't like first, but I want to get them out of the way. I want to talk about Spiderman number 62. This series.
Oh, here we go.
This series is awful.
Here's what.
Every time I say series, my Siri on my Mac activates, and that's what that was. Okay.
Thank God I have a Dell laptop.
This is by Nick Spencer, as it's always been. And he can get off that book anytime he wants, please. But anyway, the art's by Patrick Gleason, so the art is not a complaint of mine. It never will be with Patrick Gleason, because he's solid. Even if he's spending most of his time doing those ridiculous webbing covers that everyone is driving up the market on. Now, this is the only reason why I don't care to have a Spider-Man 55. I didn't like the issue, so why would I want to buy a cover for $30 for a book I didn't enjoy?
Because they're gonna do enough prints to fill the colors of the rainbow eventually.
Yeah, they're gonna have the LGBT flag with that. With the web.
Man.
But that's I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, so remember when in issue 43 we had the GOG story? Okay, so this is the sequence of Amazing Spider-Man. I'm going to introduce a character. I'm going to introduce a plot point. I'm not going to end this arc. I'm going to start another, introduce new characters without paying off the ones that I already should have paid off, and retcon some of my favorite Spider-Man stories, not give them justice, and butcher it. That's basically this series in a nutshell. Because he did it with One More Day in the past 2 issues. He did it with Kraven's Last Hunt. He's done it with the Vishanti arc.
Wasn't there an arc like I think it was the Last Remains arc? They got like 2 different epilogue issues.
Right, and then he's like, "Let me stop doing everything I'm doing because you guys wanted me to address Kindred. I'm giving you the arc that I promised the whole run," and it fell in its face. Even though you and Mark Bagley on it, even though you're the Mark Bagley, I don't care what none of y'all say. Mark Bagley is the best Spider-Man artist who's ever lived.
I agree. I prefer Bagley over McFarlane.
I'm not capping. Mark Bagley, you beats McFarlane, beats Romita Jr., beats who else is drawn? Joe Kane, and I love Joe Kane, but he beats Joe Kane. He beats the Todd Power. He beats Eric Larson whenever he decided to do rip-off.
The only Spider-Man artist that I would maybe put ahead of Bagley is Romita Sr.
Not a chance. But look, I was just glad to see Bagley just drawing more Spider-Man. So remember in issue 43 when we introduced GOG and we had the heartwarming GOG story where Spider-Man brings him in as a pet? Well, here's another thing you got to know. Spider-Man lives at Boomerang, and Robbie Robinson, who is the son of Joe Robinson, the guy who worked for the Daily Bugle and who basically helped MJ out in the Kraven's Last arc, and basically was the counselor at the Daily Bugle. But he was also a reporter. He's a nice reporter. He's like a Ben Urich, but nicer. And so anyway, Kingpin has put out a hit onto Boomerang. So he's like, "Oh, Boomerang, everyone underestimates him, blah, blah, blah." So he hired a bunch of villains to go get him. Tombstone is, if you recall from the last year, he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing it. I got a plan, guys." But this story's doing so much stuff and it's happening in the worst sequences. So this is the sequence. Boomerang and Spider-Man are on a play date with GOG, who's their adopted pet after now, when GOG does not have this collar on, he blows up like Godzilla. So imagine Godzilla, but in a cute puppy dog version, going to a giant beast running around New York City. Not a good thing, okay? So
who makes this stuff up?
I don't know. Ask Nick Spencer. So anyway, at the end of the last issue, Bullseye was like, "Hey man, I got a shot." Calling Kingpin, and now Kingpin's like saying, Take it. He's like, "We're gonna hurt Boomerang. We're gonna rip him to pieces." Instead of just shooting Boomerang in the freaking head like you should have done. What issue are we on? 62 issues ago. We're gonna shoot the dog. GOG. Please. But freaking Boomerang hit the collar. So GOG grows 5 sizes and is now running around New York. On top of that, we have the worst.
Is he still a dog though?
No, now he's freaking Godzilla.
Okay, if he was still a dog and he was like 5 times as big, I would be okay with that personally.
Bryce, I'm going to show a panel.
Okay.
This is GOG when the collar is off.
God bless.
Okay, now Spider-Man in his new electric costume that nobody asked for. Then Nick Spencer said, "Hey, let me have my influence on the next Spider-Man update. Let's get this in the video game." That's the only reason why this costume is in this book. If you think otherwise, no, you're wrong. There is no creative push for this other than Nick Spencer wanting to have the royalties in a Spider-Man video game. But anyway, Boomerang's, "Oh, Spider-Man, you're here. You gotta get the collar." So Spider-Man's, "Oh, I got the collar." So he's swinging around and puts the collar on GOG, okay, as he's climbing up a building, okay, and he's about to knock over a helicopter, okay. Hey, and we got missing links in the chat. How you doing, brother?
Good. Link station,
bro. All right, and then I don't even know what that means, but
I think it's Pop Culture Philosophers. If you watch Pop Culture Philosophers,
okay.
Shout out PCP.
So he gets a collar on GOG, and GOG shrinks, and he's a cute little puppy again. Which, did I care? And he's like, "Oh, let me have that heartwarming moment." Okay, now Joe Robinson is like on a break, right? And he's talking with his son, who's like trying to bring up something like really special. And then he meets James Jonah Jameson. If you don't know what he's been doing, he's the one who told Spider-Man, hey, get this suit so we can just tune in, do your costume, and have you broadcast everything. It's a hit because now people get to see your reactions to your villains. Again, did I answer this? No. So James Jonah Jameson is a dick because Joe Robinson doesn't like it. He doesn't like what's going on. Okay, so Joe Robinson's like, I don't like it. And they yell at each other. Joe leaves and he goes back to his office. Okay, Spider-Man and Boomerang drop Gog off with MJ. And then we got the worst dialogue moment. I miss him already. And they call him Goggy Woggy. And then Boomerang is pissed and he wants to go kill Kingpin. Because the dog's collar got shot. Okay? Kindred and Kingpin share a moment. That's it. They just share a moment. Nothing else happened. They just share a moment. Right? Just, he's in there for a panel. So, okay, let's continue. Tombstone. Remember Tombstone? He brought in Tombstone. I told you, remember Tombstone. This is why we're remembering Tombstone. He's like, I got a plan. He's like, I'm going to hurt the people around him. But nobody knows. He's like, Peter Parker's off limits, but not Robbie Robertson. So Robbie Robertson.
Does Tombstone know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man?
Kingpin put a pause on that bounty, so he's like, you can't hurt him. I don't know. It's so weird because when they put the pieces together this way, this is bad writing. This is what you call bad writing. You want to so
Boomerang is the part of the run that I read. Boomerang was like one of the only tolerable parts of it, and it sounds like Boomerang is still one of the only tolerable parts of this run.
What's up, Fable?
What's up, Fable?
So, okay, Tombstone pulls up. He's climbing up the building. Right? And he's like, I'm gonna kill Robbie Robinson. That'll bring Boomerang out of hiding. Yeah. And we got Tomorrow in the house. What's up, brother? Tomorrow in the house. Chat is lit right now. We're talking about ASM 63. It's the worst issue I've ever read. Okay? But it turns out when Tombstone gets to the top of the roof, he sees his daughter making out with Robbie Robinson. So, guess what? He can't kill him. That's where we leave off.
That's where it ends?
Yep, that's where it ends. Rod the Rican in
Rod. We're on Rod's TV? Yes.
We're on Rod's TV, guys. We're famous. That's how you know you made it onto YouTube. If you're on the Rod Rican TV. Yes, sir. I feel so official. But that's the book.
I'm about to go buy a fedora.
I have a fedora hanging.
You have a fedora?
I have a fedora in my room. I have 2 fedoras. I used to wear them on the beach all the time. It's called the Rod the Rican look. But
my bad, Rod. I'm slacking.
Yeah, but anyway,
Brandon, I'm gonna be honest with you for a sec. You told me to be honest with you before the show. You told me to be honest before the show started. You're wasting your money.
I've picked up every 62 issues of this run. I think. Oh my gosh, that's a habit. That's a habit when you read about Spider-Man 2.
He knocked his webcam off.
That's a habit. Oh, what's that? Somebody just saying hello. What's up? But oh my gosh, Comic Tom, we're coming.
Yeah, I love Comic Tom, man. I like his content. What can I say?
We're coming for him. Comic Tom's not ready for us, but
he's not ready though.
Not ready for this ASM energy. But guy, oh my gosh, how do you have such talented artists? Ryan Otley, Humberto Ramos, Ron Vieira did some issues. Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley, and the book sucks. How?
I think it's just okay. Here's my thing with Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer seems to be a very niche character type of writer. Like if they gave him a Boomerang miniseries, I would read that. I feel like it'd actually be pretty good.
I would too. Is Sam Wilson run with Captain America was great. Because he got to do this shit. Spider-Man is not the character. When you're writing a Spider-Man book, okay, it's very hard to do so. And I give you credit because almost everything you could possibly think of has been done before. But the fact that you're bringing every character you could think of it and then ripping on and then retconning when they last appeared in this JMS story or this Bronze Age story that you want to rip off, right? Like I can't even tell you how many times we've ripped off the JMS run in this arc right now. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you know, I don't know how many times you can do so.
Well, Spider-Man, I agree with you. Like, Spider-Man is probably one of the hardest characters to write at Marvel because he's been around pretty much as long as Marvel Comics has been.
He's scary.
But he's still, like, you kind of have to keep him in New York for the most part. He's always been... he's always been a friendly neighborhood character. And it's not like the FF who've been around since, like, they were the beginning. But you can do so much with them in the realm of just general science fiction. Or like the X-Men where you can put them on an island.
Right.
And do whatever you want with them. Like, Spider-Man is very much a grounded character.
Right. And I'm just I'm done with this book. I'm so gonna pick it up, but I'm done with this book because it has potential. There are issues that I've enjoyed, that I've thoroughly enjoyed.
That's the thing, yeah. When I was reading it, it was more like I saw flashes of really good stuff when I was reading it, but it's more frustrating than it is bad.
Yes. And I'm just like, oh, no, stop. Pump the brakes, slow down. Because remember what else he did. Okay? He brought back Mysterio from the Mary Jane arc because now Mary Jane is like collabing with him behind Spider-Man's back. And also Doctor Strange is out with Mephisto dealing about whatever's wrong with Spider-Man's soul after the Last Remains arc. So those are two other plot points.
Hey, Fable.
Bryce gets a special hello. Fable. Yes, sir. But Miss Link says, Comic Tom was the catalyst of the YouTube comic community.
Oh, yeah. He was like the second channel I subbed to right after Eris and them over at Variant Comics.
I think he was like the 10th. But this is the Spencer run we are discussing. And
this is Spencer's run we're discussing, yes.
I am befuddled that editorial has let this go on for 62 issues. I want to know who's editing this book. Everyone who's on this book, except the artist, needs to go. Get out. Give me.
Show some of the panels again, because the colorist seems to be doing a decent job.
The colors are great. Look, here's a good panel, right? It's Patrick Gleason.
Okay, that suit. If when Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, that could have been a style, like that suit could have been a style I could have seen them using for that.
Oh yeah, in a futuristic arc, I could see it.
Exactly.
I could see it as like if it were an Iron Spider retcon, I could, yeah.
Rock Robbie's dope.
There we go.
I watch him every week. Yeah.
Drawn out run. Yeah, they're wasting Gleason. They wasted Mark Bagley. They're wasting Gleason, but blah, done with it. Anyway, that's enough Spider-Man. If you missed it, if you're missing out on this book, you're not. You're one of the lucky ones. But
I do consider myself lucky at this point that I stopped pulling it 30 issues ago.
Spencer was doing a purpose. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny right there. That's hilarious right there. But Anyway, Bryce, your turn with another book. I'm swinging over you.
Okay.
Talking about
so we're going to recover. We're going to talk about another, in my opinion, great book this week. And we're going to jump back over to DC with Action Comics.
Yes. By the man Johnson. Yes.
Probably my personal favorite book of the week. Teen Titans Academy was probably the most fun I had with a book all week. But Action Comics was the most memorable.
Guys, pick of the week right here.
Seriously. Go pick up Superman 29 if you haven't already, and then go pick this up because this is part 2 to Superman 29. Philip Kennedy Johnson on the writing. We're going to mention him a couple times tonight. He's doing some great work right now.
Who did Spidey worse? I enjoyed Slott's run. I really enjoyed Slott's run during the first 5 years, but the last 3 were not it. But
I haven't read either. I'm slacking on my Spidey big time.
Spencer has disgusted Spider-Man.
You
can quote me on that.
Yeah, and I'm not the person to ask much about Spidey comics. You want to talk to me about DC? We can talk about DC all day.
Do it. Go. Talk.
Action Comics. Okay, so if you remember in the last issue, it was all about what happens when a child finds out that their parents, their heroes that they had growing up, aren't invincible.
Right, and
they can fail.
This is in Superman 29.
Yeah, this is in Superman 29. And we find out from John, since he was in the 31st century with the Legion of Superheroes, which, speaking of which, I didn't read any of the Bendis run, but I heard how much of a cluster that was.
Yep.
And so far, I think Johnson is doing a great job of incorporating John back into Superman's mythos. Like, he's using his time in the Legion to his advantage.
Right.
Big time. And I think that's some great work. Also, Phil Hester on the art, if I didn't mention that. Hi-Fi doing the colors. Hi-Fi is one of my favorite colors right now ever since he was on Flash with Josh Williamson.
Yes. He did great work.
But this is part 2 of that story. We opened up with them fighting some aliens and just kind of a generic alien battle scene. It's really not a focal point of this book, so we don't know too much about them. There aren't many villains in this book. I guess you can maybe count Amanda Waller as one. Cry every.
That's facts, though. That's honestly facts.
Well, yeah, because I'm honest to God, I missed out on Super Sons, so I would have loved to see him, and I would have loved to have seen him and Damian interact some more.
Oh, 100%, bro. 100%.
But I don't know. Amanda Waller is probably the closest thing to a villain we have in this book, and it's like for one page.
Yeah.
And so, but
Mongo in here.
That didn't, huh?
We got Mongo in here.
Where? Oh yeah, Mongo. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Which is awesome, because
I was so focused on the father-son dynamic between Clark and John, and I actually DM'd Philip Kennedy Johnson on Instagram about this, saying like, hey, I loved the father-son dynamic in these past couple issues between Superman 29 and Action 1029. I do want to read it eventually. The extended Omni is actually pretty cheap right now. We're talking about Tomasi, right?
Bro, it is. It's just a comedy book. It's so funny. It's so funny, bro. But
Damian is like a dark comedy dream.
Yeah, yeah. He's like if Adam Sandler had athleticism and sarcasm. Anyway, let's get
every time I see Damian. Have you ever seen American Psycho?
Yes.
I get like a kid Patrick Bateman vibe.
Yes. Anyway, let's continue with some Action Comics. Let's talk about this book.
Thank you for keeping me on track. But so they do this whole battle. Superman continues to get hurt. I feel like that's going to be an underlying theme of this arc is Superman's mortality. And so John is super worried, but he comes into his own in this battle. And it's a great moment with some great art to see John just taking care of business.
Right.
Like
taking care of business.
Oh Lord. But my favorite part were my favorite parts were these little captions that basically was like, okay, you're always like, you want to raise your kid up to where by the time they see that you can fall, they don't need to hold on to that perception of you anymore.
Right.
And I thought it was great. These were honestly, not to get too personal, but we did lose one of my grandfathers, my dad's dad, at a very young age. And so this reminded me of this was very similar to conversations I had with my own dad.
Right.
About like the fact that no matter what, everybody stumbles, everybody falls, and that your kids are going to see you fall. You know, even if you don't have kids yet, you're like, when you do, they're going to see you fall. And it was just really a touching book, really do I need to pick up Action 2 to enjoy Superman and Bryce? I would say, at least for this story, they're running in tandem right now, but Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing both, so I would recommend you pick up both regardless.
And Phil Hester is drawing them both as well.
And Phil Hester is drawing them both.
Right, but to your point, this book is very much about repairing the lost time between Superman and John, because John is no longer Superboy. He's like a late, he's becoming a young adult, right? So he's kind of losing that like innocence of being a child and seeing your dad as the Superman, right? We all look at our dads, or at least that's like the kind of like what you should, or the perception of what the ideal dad would be, is you look up and you see, oh, my dad is a Superman. My dad can do everything. I think a lot of people who have struggled with Superman books or even Superman and other medias is because everyone has their own interpretation of Superman. Everybody has their own, this is what I want my Superman to be. This is very much rounding out the edges of Superman, because he's basically perfect. He is the most powerful person in probably all of comics.
Yeah.
Probably the strongest hero in all of comics.
I would say.
Okay? But what more does Superman have to do to grow as a character is to be a father.
And honestly, that is when I love Superman the most, is when he is concerned about his family. He's concerned about the people around him. That's one of my favorite shows going on right now, Superman and Lois.
Is that good?
It's really good. It's got some CW drama aspects to it. They get a little annoying at times because you've seen them all before. But production's great. And there's just a lot of family dynamic that works Superman. Well. Bring away.
I do. He will be in the J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie, though. There is a lot of speculation with that.
But yeah, and then at the end of this issue, we get a little 2-page lead into Mongol, which I'm super excited about.
Because Bendis butchered Mongol?
Yeah, but...
And yes, Tomasi's Superman run is absolutely amazing. A lot of people forgot about it because the Bendis run turned a lot of people off of Superman.
I do need to read that. I'm all in on Superman.
Yeah, the Tomasi Superman run and then this one are probably two of my favorite Superman runs of all time. If you guys are not reading this book, it's very touching. It is unlike any Superman comic you've probably ever read. This has a lot of dynamic, a lot of monologue, and a lot of interpretation of what Philip Kennedy Johnson has to say about Superman, about his character, because Philip is a dad of his own, Yeah. So
yeah, from what I've heard, the only thing I can compare this to so far, just as far as tone, I'm not saying it's anywhere near that level yet. And this is just based off of what I heard. That's still in the read list. But if I had to make a comparison tone-wise, I would say All-Star Superman is the only thing you could compare it to.
Right.
because it deals with like Superman's mortality and his family and everything like that, you know?
Right.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
100%.
He has that family aspect you enjoy. All right. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm definitely going
and it has crypto.
Has crypto? All right, I'm in.
It has crypto. Lots of crypto. But
then there's a Midnighter backup story I wasn't a huge fan of.
I didn't read it. I was like, yeah, screw the Midnight. I don't. Because that would have left that left a bad taste in my mouth. But let's get into some X-Men time. Is it okay if I'll talk about both X-Men books because they kind of like go hand in hand?
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm talking about Batman next.
Let's talk about Excalibur number 19. This is by Tini Howard or by Marcus Anthony Toe. So what we've been dealing with in Excalibur is Betsy and the Excalibur team are dealing with the ramifications of the Ten of Swords event. Betsy died, and she's back in this body, but it's not like Betsy's soul. It's like it's physically Betsy, but it's not the Betsy that they know that they're used to. But in the last issue, Quanon came in because they kind of share that Psylocke link. Okay, so and Tomorrow says he's back. Welcome back, Tomorrow. So she's back, okay, and we're dealing with the Great Britain or the Captain Britain Corps with Saturnine, which is she's like teasing. Oh, I have all these guys here. Quanon is hunting down Betsy Braddock, trying to find her soul in Otherworld, and she ends up doing it. And the dialogue is perfect because while like the Excalibur team is like circling around Betsy's body unconscious, they're like, "What are we gonna do? What do we have to do? This? What do we have to do?" And Quanon is like, "This is a hunt, and I'm doing it." You got Richter, who's freaking out because they had a lot of moments leading up to Ten of Swords. You had Rogue, who was like trying to be a badass, but it really wasn't working. So they're all trying to lead on this expedition to get Psylocke. While they're trying to figure it out, Psylocke is just taking initiative, and she goes and she does it herself. Okay, she finds Psylocke's spot, her soul, and she brings her back, okay, through like the mythos of the Captain Britain Corps and the powers of Psylocke, with the sword. What I forget what the sword is called. What is it called? The sword that she wielded in Ten of Swords that no other person in the Captain Britain Corps was able to wield. Quanon was able to do it, and she merged both her and Psylocke, both her and Betsy into the same body, and Betsy is back. Betsy is back. Okay, so that's what we led up to. In the last page, okay, this is kind of a retcon to the Messiah complex. I don't think we've seen this character since the Messiah complex. Okay, we got Malice coming back, who's basically like a Shadow King, being able to infiltrate other people's bodies, but it's a chick. And Rogue like saw her coming and was able to fend her off, but it goes into the gate of Krakoa because Malice is a mutant. Malice can go into Krakoa. Okay, so this is just leading into the next story arc. We're closing one, we're starting another, so it's a great transition issue. I've been loving Excalibur. It deals with a lot of magic. Okay, and if you're a fan of Psylocke, Quanon, and Betsy, right, this is kind of the relationship between these two characters that hasn't really been linked. And if they did, it wasn't really anything that this iconic enough to remember. So what Tini Howard is doing with this cast of characters is very great. Okay, I've been really enjoying it. Obviously, Quanon is here no longer Fallen Angels. Hellion, she kind of turned away from Sinister, so it's great. It's a really great issue.
I've been meaning to catch up on this book. I stopped pulling it in the like early on because it was just moving a little too slow compared to the other X titles.
But that's setting up Ten of Swords for a very long time. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair.
So it's been blowing up. It's not really been blowing up. I'm sorry, reading the chat this time, but the story has been evolving. It was building up to Ten of Swords, and now the story is past it. And a lot of it is when you have a character like Apocalypse, you kind of have to take things a little bit slower with Apocalypse. Just really get into what is going on in that dude's head and how manipulative he can be on the back end when you're not even going to be thinking about that. So Excalibur is I think it is my favorite. I think it's safe to call it my favorite X-Men book. I love Magic. I'm a huge Magic fan. Not Magic as in the character. I love Magic now. I used to not be able to stand the character Magic. We're gonna get to that in Cable, but this book is great. It's fantastic. It looks great every single issue, and Tini Howard is doing a great thing with these cast characters, having a lot of fun, and I don't really like. We're not forgetting about any people in the cast. I mean, they're not really using Gambit and Rogue to the capacity that I would like.
Yeah. I'm a big Gambit and Rogue fan,
so I guess that's turning a lot of people off who thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the Gambit show. It's not. It's not the Gambit and Rogue show. This is very much going to be the Captain Britain, Richter, Psylocke, Jubilee, kind of your more 90s X-Men.
It's nice to see Jubilee getting some love.
Right, and Jubilee really is getting some love. Hey, Justin!
What's up, Justin?
After his fantasy baseball draft, I hope you got some good Pirates players. There are none there, so I actually hope you didn't take any because that would be a disappointment to your team. But
yeah, I'm a Reds fan, and even I gotta agree with him there. And
now the chat is lit, and then I have no idea what I clicked on, but we'll stick around a bit. New show, so we're talking about comic books. So that is Excalibur number 19. It is fantastic. I'm down for anything X-Men. I'm reading everything X-Men. Just read, pick it up. It's a great time. A great story, fantastic.
It is. It is a good time to be reading X-Men, even though I'm only reading 2 titles. I can only afford 2 X titles, but
go Philly. You are on the wrong part of Pennsylvania, my friend. Oh, but I shouldn't be talking. My team isn't even a baseball team. They're being like the movie Major League. Okay. And then we got Cable number 9, which is by Jerry Dugan, art by Phil Noto. Okay, Phil Noto's also doing the colors. This is the Cable story of Kid Cable. He's been dealing with strife and the kidnapped ex-babies that have been floating around. And he hasn't been dealing... Who are these X-Men I speak of? We're talking about Kid Cable. Yo, the X-Men guru popped up. He's the X-Men whisperer. He heard it calling, and he just knew to come back to the show. What is up, Chet? But anyway, so AIM has been riding around the waters of Krakoa. So Esme and Cable decide, let's mess with them. Okay, so they take over the ship, and they just turn it into their kind of lounge day, just chilling in the pool, chilling in the ocean with nothing to lose. But
as Kid Cable would.
As Kid Cable would, not old Cable, but we got this one. So him and Esme.
Not old Cable at all.
And then we got Scott and we got Emma Frost. They're chilling. They're just talking about... They're just shooting the show. They're just catching up. Great. But great live streaming presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. If you guys do... Absolutely. Speaking of, that's a great segue into saying, if you guys do like the show, like and subscribe. I'm supposed to say that in every video like every other YouTuber. I just sometimes forget, because if you like what you're seeing, you're going to like and subscribe. But also make sure you're following Bryce on Instagram, Hillbillycomics. Everything's in the description below, so you can check that out. Give it a big thumbs up. Leave a comment about your favorite issue. If you made it this far, shout out. If you guys
there were some great ones this week, actually. Yeah.
But, Justin,
no way. You read you like X-Men?
Justin, I thought you've been reading DC for years, bro. My guy. But anyway, so Cable's like, hey,
I bet you hate Wolverine.
Yeah, so yeah, you hate Wolverine, bro. And you definitely did not recently pick up a giant size X-Men. He bought it for a giveaway. He bought it for an AOK. That's exactly what it was. He bought it for an AOK.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah.
Level of kindness makes me sick.
But anyway, so back to this book. So Cable's like to Emily, he's like, I got a dip because I'm dealing with 5 missing children. I just had a date with Domino. That's very weird. But let me dip Esme. So so he leaves and he's trying to figure out where Strife is. If you guys don't know who Strife is, it's another version of Cable. Okay, Kid Cable thought he killed Strife, but it turns out he didn't defeat the Prime, like the actual one. But haven't read a lot of comics, haven't been through storage, got a bunch of X-Men, Avengers, Green Lantern, Spider-Man, and some others. Those are some of my favorite characters in a nutshell.
Great characters, great titles. Hey, if you're looking to jump into current books too, I don't know how it's going to be, but Green Lantern has a #1 dropping next week.
The writer has come out and said he hates Hal Jordan on Twitter.
Okay, so it's going to be John Stewart, Kilowog.
It's going to be Teen Lantern. Yep, Kilowog. It's supposed to be heavy around Guy Gardner, but
maybe Kyle Rayner.
Yep. So anyway, so in this issue, Cable's trying to find people to help him out, track down Strife so we can hunt him out and kill him. He goes to Wolverine in Japan, and Wolverine is Stripe. He's not Stripe. He's Patch. Wolverine is Patch. Right? He's undercover, and he's like, "I'm gonna go undercover. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do an Nick Fury, put an eye patch on him. Boom! Nobody knows I'm Wolverine. The hair didn't get away, but he still has the beard too. So it didn't give it away at all. So." Wolverine's like, dude, you got nothing for me. I'm not doing it. You blew my cover. Now get out. I'll come back when you find something plausible that I can assist with. So then Cable goes to his daughter, Hope Summers, who is not Hope, Rachel Summers, who is years and years older than him. Sorry to ditch. Left a sub and a like. Keep up the great work. Thank you, man, so much.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. Even if
good night.
It's more than most.
Yeah, and if you ever feel like watching, just catch the replay.
Exactly. But what novels do you recommend for big comic book fans looking to take a plunge into fiction novels? What kind of fiction novel? Okay, so fiction novels, it depends on what you like. If you're more of like a magic reader, I would suggest go back and read the Harry Potter books. That's always a great.
Yeah.
The Hobbit.
If you really want to get into like some good, solid classic fantasy, of course, Lord of the Rings.
Read Stephen King books are really good. Just start with reading your iconic writers, and then that'll dive you into a niche market. It's kind of the same thing as comic collecting. You start like the big stuff, and you work your way into more of the niche, figuring out what you like.
Honestly, something I would recommend that would make a really easy transition is if you're a Star Wars fan at all. Star Wars has a ton of novels, a bunch of legends that expand the universe. Not all of it's canon now, but it was at some point, and there's still underlying it is canon, but Disney won't admit it.
Bro, you interrupted us just for that.
Never mind, I like the pictures.
Jamar, you're funny. But he goes to Rachel, and she's like, nope, don't know, can't tell you. So his next option, let me go to Magic, because she knows, she has monsters. And so then we go to oh my gosh, I was gonna say Oraco. We go to oh my gosh, we go to Limbo. So we go to Limbo. And she's talking to her monsters, her minions, and nope, they don't know where Strife is. And then we get this. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. You guys see it?
And you froze. Okay, there it is. Oh my!
And she like starts singing, and there's like, and they're singing, and I would walk 500.
Dude, okay.
I loved it. It was like the funniest thing. I'm reading it.
Drop down in the comments if you immediately thought of How I Met Your Mother when Brandon started singing that.
Nope. Shut up. But so then, okay. So then he goes back to Krakoa, and he meets Wildside, who used to work for Strife. Okay, and he doesn't know, but he's giving him a hard time. So Cable and him fight. Boom. Okay. Doesn't know who he is. So then, right, Rachel comes back, and Cable is like, oh, I gotta go bring back the old man.
Oh.
So they're gonna go bring back. So old Cable, new Cable are gonna merge, and they're gonna go defeat Strife. And it's great. Read it. And it's great.
Okay.
So if you learn anything of these past, 20 minutes we just blew on X-Men, read it.
Read X-Men.
Read X-Men. Even Fitz said he couldn't stay away. That's how you
stay away. Welcome back.
Hey, he said he couldn't stay away, so we don't need to welcome back. He was here the whole time.
Yeah, he was. There we go. Welcome back to the live chat.
We got 2 more books to talk about. We got 2 more.
So am I going back to back now?
Do you want to tag team the one that we were really going to talk about?
Yeah, we'll talk about that one last. But first,
okay. So we're going to save the finale for last. And if you guys have been catching the stream from the start, you know what it is.
Oh yeah.
We're going to talk about Batman first. Who doesn't love Batman?
Batman Detective Comics.
Justin loves Batman if he's still here. Justin loves Batman.
Justin, where you at?
See,
Detective Comics.
Who loves Batman?
Oh, so, yeah.
For you, Justin.
That's DC and Batman helped me get into comics. So that's. But this is starting Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora's run.
Yes.
Which Dan Mora drawing Batman. Holy crap.
Hoorah.
Like, just look at this. This is the centerfold of the book. Look at this.
Yep.
Just so clean.
Page 1, it was boom.
But this is basically, it starts out with, we're at a fundraising event for the mayor of Gotham, and Bruce Wayne is there, even though he doesn't have his fortune anymore as of Joker War. He's still at these events. Like, it's like, yeah, my family comes to these things no matter
what.
So
Infinite Frontier, now keep in mind, Infinite Frontier redid a lot of things, and the one thing that they didn't do was refund Batman all the million.
Was give Batman his fortune back, but
you can get
it's okay.
Life back.
It's okay because Nightwing is the billionaire of the Bat family now. So, fit to be read. I'm so comic uninformed.
Hey, guess what? You know how you can be informed?
Hey, there we go.
Watch the show. What were we talking about?
80s comics. 80s comics are great. That's actually what I started with when I was a kid, was reading a bunch of 80s Flash, 70s and 80s Flash, and 70s and 80s Green Lantern.
Hey, don't forget about 80s Thor with Walter Simonson.
I actually never read any Thor as a kid. Like, I read Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, Captain America.
You're going backstage.
But yes, 80s comics are awesome. Especially like your Daredevils, your X-Men, your Teen Titans.
X-Men in the 80s was hard, other than the Typhoid Mary arc.
Just chef's kiss all around. But back to current Batman, we've got a group known as the Party Crashers coming in. I guess they're like remnants from Joker War. And so Bruce takes care of that situation. We get introduced. We see this guy named Neil who works with the mayor. He comes into play later somehow. So Batman takes care of all of it because he's Batman. He does what he does. And we find out he's working out of these like pop-up bat caves.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like,
which is the one thing that weirded me out a little bit, but at the same time, it kind of worked for me. But maybe that was just Dan Mora.
I don't know. It worked because it's like, okay, it makes sense. If Batman's gonna go anywhere, it's gonna go to an actual cave this time. He's gonna go under.
Yeah, exactly. And we find out he's living in like this apartment building now.
Yeah.
And so he gets invited to this party with his neighbors, and they're just talking about all the stuff going on in Gotham. It doesn't affect them hardly at all.
The middle class.
I would call them more upper middle class, like borderline upper class, but like
not stupid rich, but rich.
Yeah, not stupid rich, but decently wealthy.
They did.
And so Bruce goes to this party. He's not really fitting in. Not a whole lot happens there. We come back to the mayor's office. This book is a very conversational book. Do not say I was there when it was written.
Well, tomorrow you are. See, the ancient one is part of Doctor Strange, but we got one in the live chat.
Oh wow! So what's that make Chet?
Oh.
If he's still here.
But anyway, go for it. Let's continue. Chet's in the live.
This is a very conversational book. We hear about this Neil guy a lot, which when I was reading it, I'm like, okay, what does this Neil dude have to do with this? Why is he here? And why is he just named Neil? Am I supposed to like remember that or something? It's like, oh, there's Neil again.
See, in Gotham, you're supposed to remember everything. That's the catch.
Yeah, okay. In Gotham, yeah.
Remember everything.
But you see that the Party Crashers were just these teenagers basically stealing people's phones, trying to get kind of like, I don't know. They're trying to be cool. They're trying to be those edgy new wave.
Apparently, the new thing is to be a badass in Gotham and to steal shit. So that's what they were doing, basically.
I guess. I guess.
Joker inspired a bunch of clowns to go out in the open, and Punchline inspired them all to do it too. So they're like, yeah, this is the cool new thing in the block. Like kind of like.
Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Joker War.
Like a few years ago, this was a thing. It's called a dab. Don't do it ever again. Now in Gotham, I guess he's stealing shit. That's a new thing. Like, can't they just dab?
Yeah. But yeah, so along the way, we meet this character named Sarah Worth. Y'all ain't funny. Now he's starting to sound like me. I'm from West Virginia. In case y'all were wondering, we got our own language here, hillbilly English. Not like regular English at all.
Go talking about comics, please.
Yeah. Sarah Worth, she's like this financial guru's daughter. And she dies, basically. And Batman and them Bruce is trying to figure out what's going on. And we find out that it's Neil that killed her. You can see he's walking out of a cave with blood on his hands. I guess that's why we needed to remember him.
Yeah.
So I personally wasn't expecting that at all because, I mean, who's going to, like, the mayor's assistant? Like, who's going to suspect him?
When you look at the hands, right? He beat the shit out of him.
Good God.
Like, whoever he killed, he beat the shit out of.
Yeah. But now, okay, the spotlight.
Pin on him.
The spotlight of this issue to me, though, was the Robin story.
Yes.
By Joshua Williamson.
Yes.
Which is basically Damian and Talia still kind of training. Damian wants to know about the League of Lazarus. And not a whole lot happens here, but it sets up something great. We find out that there's this basically fighting tournament.
Yes. And
so we're going to get Damian Wayne in Mortal Kombat, basically. And it's going to be written by Joshua Williamson.
Versus Connor Hawke, who was used in Kevin Smith's Green Arrow. Which is going to be a lot of fun because we have two great fighters. And this run, if you guys... Now, a lot of people have not liked Damian because his character development has been very limited. But recently, we've been getting a bigger push for the character. Okay? Yeah. And I think him being in the Bat family, because the Bat family's so busy, you're not going to be able to explore him as much.
Which is why I'm glad he's getting his own series.
Right.
Especially with this
we're going to miss Alien. You're going to miss us talking about Alien, bro.
We're going to talk about Alien next. I promise I'll hurry up.
More minutes.
But yeah, the thing with Damian, Joshua Williamson, I feel like is going to do a great job with him. I'm really interested to see how the character develops in the comics. Because when I was introduced to him, it was in the animated universe that DC was doing, and they did a great job with him there.
Right.
And so I can't wait to see how this turns out. But yeah, that was Detective Comics this week. Tried to hurry through this one because this one didn't really affect me as much as the other two.
It's a great book. It's
a great Batman book.
And if you're not on the Tinian run, this is a Batman book for you.
Honestly, I'm going to stick with both for a little bit longer, but if I had to pick one, I would stick with Tech.
It depends. If you're a key collector, stick with Batman. If you're right, read this.
If you're in it for the story, get Detective.
If you're in it for the money and for this, maybe if Tinian never gets his wish and the characters he's created gets a movie, go with the other ones. But that's only if, because Tinian. I feel like Tinian is writing comics a lot for royalties at this point.
Yeah. Punchline and James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2.
Yes.
Not the Suicide Squad coming up, which is technically Suicide Squad 2, but like James Gunn's next Suicide Squad movie.
No, we don't need to do. I didn't even know Suicide Squad was a thing because they don't want you to remember it. They don't want you to remember it. They want you to remember the soundtrack. That's it. But anyway, the last book we're coming at you guys with Alien by Phil Kennedy Johnson, who's been the hero.
Is that the Gleason cover?
Yeah. This is by Phil Kennedy Johnson, who has been the hero of today's show.
Facts.
And we were recently talking about his Action Comics, which is fantastic. This is the Aliens book, which is bringing the Xenomorph to Marvel.
Into Marvel. Yes, fit to be read. Love the first movie by directed by Ridley Scott. Fantastic sci-fi horror.
100%.
You get some of the same vibes in this.
You do. The art is by Salvador Larroca. If you guys are not onto Salvador Larroca's art, he did a lot in the Doom series. He's done a lot of X-Men before. Salvador Larroca's done some Daredevil. He's done a little bit of everything in the Marvel Universe. I'm trying to remember what his last seminal piece was. I do want to say it was an X-Men book, but what else has he done? Yeah, he's done a lot.
I'm not sure. Put Chet's comment up, though. Put Chet's comment up.
They're all here.
I had these in bags last week, and Brandon didn't want them in bags.
Them out of the bags.
But yeah. They'll go back in bags after the show. Don't worry. Sigourney Weaver, yes. Ripley, again, chef's kiss all around.
Yes, Ridley Scott.
It's all good. It's all good that it's a movie. I'm a movie buff, man. I can talk movies all day, but there's a comic book show, so we'll talk about shows after this.
Right. So we get introduced to a new character. His name is Gabriel Cruz. Now I'm newer to the alien mythos and everything that it has to offer. So this is easier for me to follow and kind of understand, right? So let me get this straight. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So I'm correct. The Xenomorphs are an alien race. They're kind of like parasites. Hence the morph, like they can morph. You don't want them to do that. Okay, so the humans are afraid and they want to keep them away. Basically.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Although in the movie it was just kind of just a chance discovery.
Right. They're invading our ship. Let's get them out.
Pretty much.
And by the way, if you ever decide to have McDonald's while you're watching that movie, don't.
I tried to warn you.
You didn't tell me what scene that was going to come out of the dude's chest, and I was going to...
I literally said, hang on, I said, before you went into this movie, I said, don't eat while you're watching this.
You didn't tell me.
And then I kept asking you, because it took you like 3 days to finish this movie. I said, have you gotten to the chest burster scene yet? I literally called it the chest burster scene. And you're like, no, I haven't. And then by the time you did, you texted me saying, I've lost my appetite.
I was eating a Big Mac. I was buy one, get one free Big Macs at McDonald's. Of course I was going to get a Big Mac.
First mistake with McDonald's in general.
Anyway, so we're building up like this world of Gabriel Cruz, who is a retired person from the Epsilon Orbital Research Station, okay? And he works in like their development area, okay? So he has like hands-on experience with the Xenomorphs. So that's what we're doing right now, okay? And I have a feeling Chet is ditched because he really wants to read it and he doesn't like spoilers. But
I'll have to read it. Chet does not like spoilers for 100%.
So spoilers ahead. If you guys are not hip to the show, we do spoilers here. But so that's what we're dealing with. He has a son back home who's very against what they're doing because it's taken away a lot of time between him and his father. So again, it's running along the same lines as Action Comics with the whole father-son relationship, but this is taking the sci-fi to a different level, right? It's almost like no, I don't want to compare it to The Last God. It's kind of like The Last God in a way.
Are you talking about like the sci-fi stuff, or are you talking about the father-son dynamic?
The sci-fi dynamic.
Okay.
But Brandon, I have seen Alien. I'm watching Aliens. I got to the ad, and then I had to do the show.
See, I haven't started Aliens yet. I plan to I might do it Sunday. I have Sunday off, and so I'll probably do it then, or I might do it tonight after the show.
Right.
Alien. Not the biggest James Cameron fan, so I'm kind of weary going into Aliens.
Right, but Gabriel is retiring, and they're throwing like this ceremony for him, and he's reminiscing. He's going through his head of what he saw with the Xenomorphs, which is cool. He goes back home, and his son is there. my energy just shifted, and his son has a plan for how he's going to infiltrate the base to blow it up and really see what they're doing. That's like his whole goal is, I'm mad at my dad. Let me destroy what he worked for, because this has ruined my family, and I'm sure it ruined a lot of others.
Which we find out how it ruined his family, and it kind of hits deep.
I wrote a thesis in college. It's film class explain aliens' great representation of feminism in film. It was. Bryce, you are in a treat. It definitely will enhance the comic. So I'm definitely
okay. Yeah. See, my thing with James Cameron, I know how he does sequels. I'm a big fan of T2, so I am looking forward to it because I know the man can deliver a sequel. But yeah, back to the comic.
Back to the comic. So he ends up stealing like his dad's like codes to get into the base. And then they go to the base. And him and his dad get into an argument, and you knew that it was coming because he hasn't. This is a father who's never been around his son, and is trying to. The son is going to be very resistant and saying, "Hey, no, you've been gone all this time. What gives you the right to come back now, after X, Y, and Z's already happened?" So now he's still like, every time he goes to sleep, every time Gabriel Cruz goes to sleep, this is the dad. He just sees the aliens that killed his comrades. And this is the page that really like got me like buzzing, especially that, like the T.
Oh yeah.
Where am I going? This way. I was like, oh, that's great.
Oh yeah. It definitely enhances the mythos, because in the first Alien movie, it was very much confined to the ship.
Right.
There was just the one Xenomorph. But now they're actually on the planet. They're studying them. They're
right. So there are these bishops that are set up both on the station and both at home, kind of like counselors, but they're robots. Can they give the best advice? No, but are they? Kind of. So there's kind of a barrier there in the empathy that they're able to deliver. Okay. Also, what I want to point out is this is treated more like an office and less like a shrink. Because usually when you go to a shrink, you're on a couch and it's relaxed. You want it to feel like a home setting. This is more like I'm here to file a complaint setting.
Yeah, like when I first started reading it, because it opens with him with a meeting. Yeah, I thought he was meeting with his boss.
Right. That's kind of like the vibe of that scene. I don't know if that was on purpose, but. If you are reading Action Comics or reading Superman, these are very similar parallels. That's my only complaint, is they're so similar.
See, I think the father-son dynamic couldn't be more different.
They're different, but they amount to the same.
Maybe. We do find out, though, about his other son.
Right.
So that will definitely add layers that aren't in Action Comics.
Right.
But that'll be probably later down the road.
Right. So they go to the station, and thanks, fellas. Picked up a lot of knowledge here. We'll visit again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you.
This is a very knowledgeable show. We kind of know what we're talking about on a good day. On a great day, we know everything we're talking about. So they get into the station and they shoot people with a shotgun. They go into the alien lab and they find out that they're breeding more xenomorphs, which is like the catch.
Yeah. Which means this series is going to be fun.
I am not reading anything from AWA Upshot. Their books are very hit or miss. And
yeah, I'm not either.
And to me, it's like for an indie book for me is like they really have to grasp my attention. So just because I try to limit my pull list to under 10 books, it has to beat out a big 2 book for me, and a lot of them don't. I'll read them in trade. I read my indies in trade. Because I know that the books will go on for as much as the writer wants to talk about, because it is their story, and Image doesn't really go more on sales because they get a lot of their back half in digital purchases and trades, which makes up for it. Yeah. So they are starting to do more ratio coverage, which I think is very bizarre. I don't want to say bizarre.
I think it's pretty cool, especially for their bigger series.
Oh, for Haha and Ice Cream Man, they got these covers coming out. I'm like, shut up.
Crossover has a couple ratios.
Every new number 1 has 10 different cards. I'm like, shut up. Go away.
Don't be Marvel.
Give me one cover. But okay, back to Alien. I'm sorry, we keep getting distracted. The whole theme is there's a son who hates his dad. That's about it.
Basically the dad wants to try to reconcile. The son has no interest in reconciling, and there's some aliens along the way.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this story goes. I mean, yeah, I really don't have much to say other than I definitely recommend picking up issue 1. I think you'll I think you'll enjoy it. I think if you're an Alien fan in any way, you should read this book.
100%, man. 100%.
And even if you're not, it's $5. Pick up this book. Maybe it'll pique your interest.
Right. And if you are looking to explore it, this is a great jumping on point because it does pay tribute to what was already established, but it's also creating its own.
Yeah.
I like how Star Wars The Republic is. You don't necessarily need to understand every little detail, just the basic premise, and it's going to take you in a different direction.
Yeah. And that's what I love about these comics that are based off of movies too, sort of like Star Wars, right. Is you don't have to go back and read all and invest hours upon hours upon hours. Usually it's like, okay, with Alien, you just need to watch the first 2 movies. That's probably 4 hours to watch them both back to back if you wanted to.
Right. But anyway, that's enough for Alien. Pick it up. Kenny Johnson is killing it in everything he's doing right now. He's definitely like the next rising star of the big 2.
I definitely agree with you on
also
that.
Read The Last God, which he wrote. It's great. But all right, new books coming out next week for DC. I only have one book, and that is Flash number 768. The art is by Brandon Peterson. The book is by Jeremy Adams, who I'm not familiar with, which means I'm going to give this issue 1 or 2 issues just because I'm a Wally West fan. If he does what Tim Sheridan did and give me a very good first impression, I'm going to stay on the book. If he doesn't, then I'm not going to waste my money on a bad Flash book because that'll just be just as torturous to me as Spencer's ASM, except I like Spider-Man enough to buy his books.
See, and that's me with Flash. I'm not wasting my money on Spencer's ASM, but I'm picking up Flash no matter what. So you guys might see me complaining about Flash next week, which I'm also picking up.
Throw his book on the floor, like I might with Spider-Man if it goes down this road. Over at Image, I got crossover number 5. Also, the Quarter is coming out. I'm not picking that up because I'm decided waiting for the trade on that. I was picking it up every issue, but then it hasn't come out in like 4 or 5 months, a year. This book has not been out for. It's basically doing a Doomsday Clock and saying we're going to come out at this time. Just can't get into Flash. Sell me. This is about Wally West. So if your gripes are with Barry Allen, here's the thing about Wally West. Okay, so let me break down the Flash mythos over the past since 1984 when Wally West took over the mantle. Crisis on Infinite Earths killed Barry Allen because his books were not selling. Okay, so Wally West started on the Mark Waid run, and this was basically, can Wally West live up to the expectations of the Flash? What's Doomsday Clock? It is the worst book ever written by Jeff Johns other than 3 Jokers. Don't read it.
Okay. Are you sure you're not just salty about the whole hardcover debacle?
I'm salty because it was a bad book, and I paid for it in hardcover that I shouldn't have paid. God damn, they sold me a slipcase that I didn't want in the first place. I thought it was going to come with 2 hardcovers, and it only came with part 2, so I had to go back and buy part 1. And I paid more for part 1 than I did the whole slipcase. Then the book took the whole time I started collecting. I started collecting 5 years ago. Book took 4 years to come out, 12 issues. Boom. Yeah. But never heard of it. Don't dive into it. Okay, anyway, so Wally West was the new Flash. It was, let's live up to Barry Allen. Can I be the Flash? Can I live up to it? So we never really got a whole lot of Wally West development, even though I really liked him. We never got that push because Barry's so popular. Then a special dude called Jeff Johns comes on the book and says, I don't like him. Let's flip it again. So he brings Barry back.
After he did a run on Wally.
After he did a short run on Wally, and he's like, I don't like this character anymore. Let's move. But his run on Wally was still, I don't like Wally. It's like, there's still giant Wally in the mud. So then whoever picked up the Flash next was like, wait, I don't like Wally, but let's make a Wallace, who is the African-American Flash, who is an alternate version of Wally West, brought over to Earth 1, and there's your Flash.
He's the current Kid Flash.
He's the current Kid Flash. So now you have 3 Flashes, you have 2 many speedsters, and now you have the Dan DiDio debacle of saying to the press, I don't like Wally West, so Wally West is going to be the poster boy for me to torture along with Dick Grayson. So Wally West has been added for comics, and then he killed a bunch of characters because Dan DiDio wanted him to go to hell. He goes to hell. He sits on the Mobius chair, helps defeat the Batman Who Laughs because Dan DiDio got fired at that point. So now they can make him all powerful and segue him doing something completely ridiculous. And now he's back to Wally West because that didn't matter. And we're gonna erase everything Dan DiDio did.
Now he's the Flash again. Because Barry is doing other things in the Omniverse.
But now we have a character who has history, so we're not saying can he live up to Barry Allen. It's like now he can be his own Flash, which I'm excited.
Exactly. Which is something I'm really looking forward to in this new run with Wally, even though I'm more of a Barry fan. So here for Fable, why don't we give him some Barry? I'll give him some Barry recommendations, and you give him some Wally recommendations.
Don't say Flashpoint.
I'm gonna say Flashpoint. But I'm also going to say Flash Rebirth by Jeff Johns, which is Barry coming back to the multiverse. And then Flash by Joshua Williamson. That's the countdown to when Jimmy Olsen becomes Doomsday. No, Doomsday Clock has to do with Watchmen.
It mixes the Watchmen universe and in the DC universe, making them stay in the same multiverse. Because if DC doesn't like doing anything, it's ripping off Alan Moore.
Even though I liked, I haven't read Doomsday Clock, I'm gonna give it a shot because I'm a Jeff Johns fanboy, and I'll freely admit it. But I probably would prefer Watchmen in their own separate universe.
No,
I'm a Jeff Johns fanboy, and I will freely admit it.
Flashpoint is a vital read, yes, but it's an editorial push. It ruins it. Okay, other Flash books you can read: the Mark Waid run, which is Wally West living up to the hype of the Flash. What else can you read? You can read Flash Year One, was very good. Anything of the Joshua Williamson arc was really good. If you want to see two characters together, read Flash War. But then Wally will want to get tortured for everything else, so don't read after that. Don't read Heroes and Villains, don't read Flash Forward, and don't read Death Metal. But those are my recommendations. Did I like Death Metal? No.
I didn't read it.
Jeff Johns' Green Lantern is one of my favorites. Me too.
Okay. His Green Lantern is a run that I'm going to get into eventually. I'm currently digging through this bad boy right now.
Chet wants to read Doomsday Clock with you. You guys,
I read Doomsday Clock? Okay, yeah.
You know what? You guys are both going to be bitching to me that was right. And I'm going to have a bowl of soup saying I told you to. Iron Heights by Wade and Van Sciver. Yes, but I wouldn't give any business to Van Sciver because he's kind of a douchebag.
He is, but I love his art. I can't.
How can he be that talented and that much of a jackass?
I don't know. According to you, ask Kyle Higgins, I guess.
Yeah, I'll hit him up the next time he ignores me at a con and charges me $5 for a signature all over the Winter Soldier's face. But
oh Lord, thanks, Missing Link. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm on the second big arc.
There we go. Coming out, we got a crossover. Crossover number 5. It's a great book. Read it.
It's one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Image book coming out right now.
Yeah. And then over at Marvel, this is where I have a little bit more books. We got Beta Ray Bill number 1. This is going to be written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. I am feeling the hype. I'm looking at my phone for this because I don't have my poll at the top of my head right now. You got King in Black Ghost Rider number 1 by Ed Brisson. I forget who's doing the art. Let's say it's Juan Ferguer who did it. Who did the Run the First Place Stove? You're missing some Ed Brisson stuff. Read this. I love it. Brandon, you've changed. You changed. I love DC, but I call them other shit because they have potential. They just never
DC. Yeah, I've always said with DC, when they're at their peak, nobody comes close.
Nothing comes close. You have,
but they're not always at their peak. They're rarely at their peak anymore.
You have X-Men number 19, which is written by the main man, Jonathan Hickman. And the art is by Muhammad Aswar, who is very talented. And then you got X-Men Legends, which is the book where jokes are canon. Apparently, the biggest joke of the 90s became canon. Yep. Another Summer's Brother was canon. It was a running joke in the 90s. But this is by David Nicieza, art by Brett Booth. So definitely give that a shot if you are a 90s fanatic. Also, I believe there was one other book that was coming out that
there's a Silk #1 coming out next week.
I
know. I'm throwing it out there for people who might be interested.
That's about it with X-Men though. That's about it with Marvel, and that's my pull list. That's my pull list for that week.
Yeah, mine. We do have a good bit of overlap. I'm picking up Flash 768 because I'll never miss a Flash book. X-Men 19, crossover number 5, Beta Ray Bill number 1, and I'm picking up this other Image book coming out called Shadecraft. I think it looks really good, pretty creepy, and it's about this girl Shadow who she's terrified of her shadow. And I guess it comes back and is I don't know, kind of like some shadow monster type thing, but it looks pretty creepy. Apparently, the creative team on it's been nominated for an Eisner. I can't remember if they won it or not, but I'm excited to check that one out.
If you have a kid, give it to them. That book.
Oh Lord.
But yeah. I might give that a shot as well, just because it's an Image #1 and it's a very slight week. But then again, I'm trying to cut back on some of the pulls and buying nonsense. So I don't know.
I'm looking forward to the new Captain America run starting too. Ta-Nehisi Coates is leaving in a few issues, and issue 28 comes out next week, so that's winding down.
Oh, Two Moons #2 comes out.
I didn't read issue 1.
Two Moons, that's great. I forget who it's by, but that book has been very, very good. So I would check that out, and then you have some second printings from the High Republic and some third printings. So if you're about those, pick it up, because even though there's a very high print one of that book, even though it's slightly lower, everyone's going crazy, and Key Collector's going to do it. So if you really want to get your hands on it before everybody, I was going to say Hillbilly, but before everyone gets on to Key Collector, go ahead and do it.
All right. No, yeah. We're both picking up Beta Ray Bill.
First book I said, bro. That's first Marvel book. But
we're both picking up Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill is gonna be fantastic, bro. But anyway, that's it. And there are 2 media films that came out this week that I have not had the time to watch because work was crazy busy for me today, and I tried to be a sport and watch at 3 a.m, but I crashed after eating ramen.
I guess I'll start talking about Falcon Winter Soldier. This episode gave us a lot of Bucky and Sam, which is what I was looking forward to the most. And I posted something on my Instagram story earlier, and I basically was just saying, it's like, Anthony Mackie, what's up, Mikey? Welcome back. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan just kind of stopped acting in the middle of the episode. I'm going to ignore what Michael just said.
You're going to get in the comments. Here comes the
even though he's got my boy as his profile pic, I don't even need to see it. I know that's Barry Allen.
You also know Flashpoint if that didn't give you any hint.
Well, we've been over the flashes already. But yeah, this gave us a lot more Sam and Bucky. The action scenes were great as always. I'm going to try not to spoil it too much, if nothing else, but for Brandon's sake. Brandon's over here. Brandon's sake.
Over here. I don't care. Go ahead. Wait, don't. I kind of want to. I'm going to watch it after this.
Yeah. It's, but yeah, that's basically the whole thing is Sam and Bucky's reunion. And it is hilarious. Falcon has always been one of my favorite characters in the MCU. He continues to be one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I'm loving what they're doing with Bucky. Like I like Bucky a lot more in this episode today than I have in all of the Captain America movies and Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
The end of Endgame, he got me a little bit in the end of Endgame. And he's only gone up on my list from there. But
I think I love Winter Soldier in the MCU right now. I loved him in the comics with the Brubaker run. I mean, it's just fantastic what they've done with this character and just like kind of like giving him like the moments like, okay, so everybody knows him and Captain America share a very special bond, which is friendship that goes a very long way in life. A lot of the character moments, a lot of the best character moments in the MCU come from those two characters, or come from.
That's another thing that you get a lot more John Walker.
No, I'm at that point. I'm like 10 minutes in. I'm like,
no, okay. I actually kind of like John Walker. That's the thing. He's obviously not.
Am I the only one that said John Walker?
What?
You're supposed to not like John Walker. I feel like he's a character.
No, I know, but I'm saying he's kind of like I don't know. John Walker is one of those dudes that I can't stand him because he's Captain America. He's Wish.com Captain America. But I can't hate the guy. I get it. Like I understand his character.
Right.
To the point where I can't hate him. But it's you get a lot of clashing too between John Walker and Bucky and Sam. When Bucky and Sam aren't clashing with each other, they're both clashing with John Walker. Bro. There's a hilarious scene in a therapist's office too that you guys might have seen in the trailer. That's in this episode.
This guy.
You're gonna pretend you didn't say that. Killed Iron Man's parents. He did. Snyder Cut was great. No, they're not. How am I not a mod? I'm hilarious. Good Lord, Michael.
This is the guy who's a cult Flash fan, but will never admit he's getting into Thor until he picks up a great key.
Yeah. But no, that's Falcon Winter Soldier. It was a really fun episode, a really funny episode. There was a lot that happened, but at the same time, it's more setup. You get a look into like Flag Smashers behind the scenes from episode 1.
Okay, that's cool.
And yeah, it's a great episode. Way better than last week, in my opinion. And I really liked last week's episode.
Okay, because last week was a letdown for me.
Last week, okay, this gives us what we were promised, which is basically a buddy cop movie with Bucky and Sam with some killer action sequences. Like this episode starts to deliver on what we were promised.
Okay, and I can't wait to watch it right after this live stream. But Flashpoint says I am into Thor. Thor is beautiful. Yes. You gotta watch the way that you phrase that on today's social media, bro. I mean, unless you love Chris Hemsworth, you can shoot him an email, but give him a little love letter. But Mikey
cringe.
Thank goodness they didn't adapt the recent. Oh my god, that book was hot garbage. Hot garbage. Not as bad.
Didn't even bother to pick it up.
Hey, guess what? It's a great step up compared to the Amazing Spider-Man run. But do you want to talk about Invincible? I know you want that because
yes, absolutely. I want to talk about Invincible. Okay,
this was your first introduction to Invincible.
This was my first exposure to Invincible, and I immediately I paused right after episode 1, and I was like, okay, how much of the compendium's on Amazon right now? I'll probably get them all eventually. Trying to save up some money right now, but I was close.
Right. And you just got like 3 Omnis though.
I did, yeah. And
But,
I'm about to get another one because the Injustice one is half off. So, but yeah, this was my first exposure to Invincible. I love the characters in this show. I love the voice cast. I love the animation. Pretty much everything about this show. Like this, 3 episodes in. Amazon dropped 3 episodes today.
okay.
And they were all incredible. I don't know. See you, Chet. Have a good night, man.
You will call us in an hour and say, let me call you back later.
Pretty much. But yeah, it started out with his origin, and I'm sure Robert Kirkman's an executive producer, so I'm pretty sure it'll follow the comic pretty much to a T.
It will.
Yeah.
It will.
But seeing it on the screen was great. J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
How was Omni-Man in the book, in the show?
In the show? Great.
Okay, because it's like I want him in there, but I don't want too much Nolan.
But Stephen Yeun as Mark is my favorite character by far. Like,
isn't Ezra Miller? Ezra Miller is Invincible.
No, it's Stephen Yeun, Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Okay, who's Ezra Miller playing in Invincible? Because he was a voice actor for someone.
I don't know. I don't know if he's shown up yet. They did have they had kind of an A-list cast though.
Yeah,
or maybe not A-list, but at least like B-list.
B-list.
Right. Missing Link, yes. I just finished reading that entire series earlier this week, and I want to see them adapt this thing as soon as possible.
100%. Yeah, there's already things that was happening, right? Brian K. Vaughan
didn't that come out before the Invincible news?
Yeah, it was like, oh, it's in. No, Invincible came out before.
Well, no, I'm saying like the adaptation news.
No, Invincible was first.
Okay. Yeah, the mom in Invincible was great. I really liked
his
character.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That girl is mine one day. I love her. She's so that girl's fine. Wait,
Amber, I'm still torn. Huh? I'm still torn on Amber.
I forgot. I'm so far into Invincible right now. I completely forgot about Amber. She was so first compendium.
Yeah. William, his best friend. I want a guy like William as a wingman.
Bryce, remember this because you don't.
I don't.
Into a dick.
Oh man. Okay. Well, 3 episodes in, I like William so far. But
yeah, he's graded first. All the characters are graded first in Invincible.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys
are not
Invincible, huh?
Except Rexplode.
Flash.
Frontier is kind of good. I'm really digging it.
Honestly. One point. Okay, look, you're a Flash fan. You're a DC fan. You say Marvel sucks, but then the one thing DC's doing great, like it kind of.
Swamp Thing is great. Nightwing was amazing.
DC is on.
Superman is really turning around.
Right.
Detective Comics is really good.
And again, I meant to say this earlier. I still feel like Phil Kenny Johnson is doing more fixing than actual storytelling because we're like taking everything from what Bendis did and just fixing it. He really messed things up. They fucked Barry Allen. No, they've been fucking over Wally West for years. Come on, you can.
They have been. They should not have made him a murderer in Heroes in Crisis.
Thank you, Dan DiDio. That's not
like who Wally West and murderer. There's no correlation between the two. That's like being like, oh yeah, Dick Grayson's a klutz now.
Yeah, that doesn't fit. But anyway, if you guys do not know about Invincible, basically it's a superhero trope, giving you a classic Superman origin story of a teenager and everything that they should be expecting. So It's a lot of fun. It has like, it starts out being like, oh, this is like every other superhero story, but it's not at the same time. It's making fun of every superhero story. Because
very fresh, very fresh, dude.
Kirkman, oh my gosh, was there a scene where opening up with him taking a deuce?
With him taking a deuce, reading Science Dog, yeah.
Okay, in the comic, he was reading The Walking Dead.
He was reading The Walking Dead. Okay, he was reading Science Dog in the show.
It was so funny.
And he even name dropped. Like, William was like, "Don't start talking about that job." And Mark was like, have you ever, like, when's the last time you bought a comic book?" And Science Dog is up twice a month now.
Nice.
Like, Robert Kirkman is literally like this in the producer's booth.
Fable, I agree with you, but Tinian's run for me is very hit or miss. Some issues like this is great, and then there's other issues I'm like, do we need this? But there's a lot of questionable things going on in that run. I'm looking forward to Tamaki's and Dan Morris.
I'm definitely looking forward to Tamaki's.
Nice mesh of Superman meets Spiderman. Yeah, that's essentially cool. Also meets Dad, who is kind of an asshole, but read the comic.
They touched on Omni-Man's double life in the first few episodes.
They did. Oh, then I'm gonna go watch that right after Falcon Winter Soldier.
That's what I did. I was binging stuff for like 4 hours straight. It was like Disney Plus, Falcon Winter Soldier, right over to Amazon Prime for 3 hours.
There you go. That is a good description, 100%.
It is a good description.
But anyway, I believe we're kind of wrapping up. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Bryce?
Not really. Just, a lot of great books this week. If you haven't gotten a chance to visit your LCS yet, sorry if we spoiled anything for you, but definitely still pick up a lot of these books.
Right, and if these books are interesting, you have any questions, hit us up. Our DMs are always open.
100%.
On Instagram. The floppies are very out of reach, especially at the first 12, I would say, at this point. You can find some like the later ones, just the same way you can find some Saga back issues. Or
it's very much taking like a Saga Walking Dead type route as far as the back issues go. Because Walking Dead is extremely expensive with like the early issues.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of them. There's 147 issues of Invincible, I believe.
Yeah, like 144, I think.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so, less than 150.
Less than 150. So if you do want to get all of them, props to you. That'll probably run your wallet a little bit, especially this first 7. But if you buy them in the compendiums, they're big bulked and they're easy to read. Now, the one thing I do say about Invincible, it's very easy to read because you don't have to be literate because they're teenagers talking, and teenagers are not so literate. So it's like your teenager language. It's very easy to follow because it's not using big words. It's like very, I don't know, modern.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Very, very modern, very in touch. But it's not dated at the same, like they're not using slang specific to the early 2000s.
Right. They're just like talking like a normal teenager would, which is,
and the show isn't using early 2020 slang either. So yeah. I mean, I feel like it could stand the test of time.
Anyway, there is a big announcement coming up on the show, April 17th. Philip Kennedy Johnson is going to be joining us to reboot our Creators Corner show. And then I have another guest lined up for May, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I can't announce that yet, but I will be doing so as soon as I can get an email back with the date confirmation. But anyway, Philip Kennedy Johnson, he's writing Action, he's writing Alien, he wrote The Last God, and he also did an Empire Captain America tie-in, which is the best Captain America book we've gotten in years. But anyway, if you guys are around April 17th at 1 p.m., make sure you are here. This will be the place to be. Philip Kennedy Johnson is super fun to talk to. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, congrats on the interview. That's awesome, Brandon. Thank you so much. Other than that, I know I have an edited review of Daredevil, the hardcover by Chip Zdarsky coming out soon. I have it. And then we have Hall of Shame or Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame on Monday. That's the show Ryan and I do. and the theme is going to be out-of-pocket mutants. So we're doing Miss Marvel number 18 versus Iron Fist number 14. Those are the first appearances of Mystique and Sabretooth. So out-of-pocket, they appeared in other X-Men books. We're having Steve Hip Hop Comics and me. He will be joining us as a guest that night. So we're actually pushing it back to 9 p.m. so he can join us. Which one will be in the Hall of Fame? Which one will be in the Hall of Shame? Other than that, Tag Team Thursday. Make sure you're always joining us on that live stream. My show is going to be at 7:30 all the time. And then we got a bunch of other creators who are great guys in the community throwing out content as well. If you're not hip to that, you must be living under a rock on Thursday. But
yeah.
That's a fun show. Everyone in the chat right now is hip. But if you are catching the replay, big shout out to you guys. If you're here live, super big shout out to you as well.
Shout out.
So much.
Love you guys.
This is Brandon. And
I'm Bryce.
And that is Bryce. We will catch you guys next time.
See you guys next week.